Welcome to Get the Facts. This is the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. Today our conversation will be centered around the Registrar General's Department's, or RGD's, Childbirth Bedside Registration Program. It's a process that facilitates early registration of infants born at birthing centers and hospitals. And my guest is Chief Executive Officer of the RGD, Charlton McFarlane. Welcome to the program, Mr. McFarlane.
Thank you, Theodore. It's good to be here.
All right, let's jump into getting the facts. Before we go into the whole bedside registration thing, tell us a little bit about the function of the RGD.
Excellent. So the RGD is set up in law to be the repository of civil and vital statistics.
Right.
And by civil and vital statistics, what we mean is birth registrations, death registrations, marriage registrations.
Right.
We also do stillbirth registrations and adoption registrations.
Oh.
Right? And that's centered in the General Register Office.
Mm-hmm.
There is another component of the RGD, a lesser known component, which is the
Right.
Island Records Office, that deals with recording of wills and deeds and powers of attorneys and so on. So that's the basic function of the RGD, to register and capture and store vital events, but also to manage deeds, powers of attorneys and so on.
So essentially the repository of Jamaican
Records.
people's information.
Precisely.
The records. All right, so in 2007, according to my notes, the RGD started offering this program, the Civil Bedside Registration. And people have heard this announced on the news, and I just want to ask the question that our guests are asking. Mm-hmm. What's the big deal? Why is this necessary?
Okay, so the reason why it's necessary would be what obtained prior to 2007.
All right, tell us.
Right, because prior to 2007, our registration coverage for births was less than 80%.
So you mean people are leaving the hospital with unregistered children?
People are leaving the hospital with unregistered children. People are growing their children without their child being registered.
What you say?
So that was a problem for us, and it's really a development imperative. As you can appreciate, a birth certificate forms the basis for several other social and economic benefits, and not having one could lead to you being excluded or having difficulties obtaining your passport, obtaining, getting entry into school and so on, right? So it's really critical. We call it down by the RGD the breeder document, because it's really the first formal document that you get from Jamaica, right, and stuff. So prior to 2007, there was a real gap in our registration coverage, and the governments realized that it would have hampered their social program, it would have hampered other just development imperatives. Mm-hmm. And so the policy directive at the time was centered around how can we improve registration coverage, right? And because of Jamaica's impressive track record in terms of births and just maternal health, we realized that over 90%, in fact, upwards of 98% of our births are institutional births.
Happening within these places.
Exactly. Okay. So the brilliant idea surfaced that why not take the service to them, right? So instead of the mother going home with the baby, and then coming back maybe 6 weeks later or whatever it is and stuff like that, why not take it to them?
My experience was a little bit different, slightly different. We didn't come back, but you had to leave the bedside, go down to the little office. Perhaps the person was there, perhaps they weren't there. Yes. And then you had to fill out the form, and then maybe a couple weeks later or a couple months later you'd get the document. So with this way of doing it, what happens next? Walk me through the process.
Okay, so the process is a simple one. The mother gives birth, and the RGD registration officer or registration assistant, most of the time, especially for our public hospitals, they are stationed full-time at these hospitals. Yes. And so our officers come on the ward at various times during the day.
To the bedside.
Right. And at the bedside, conducts the basic interview, because obviously we have to ask what's the baby's name, what's the baby's gender,
Father's name, mother's
name, and so on, right? So we have to do that. The other good thing that it allows us to do as well is it provides almost instant verification, because while we get the information from the mother, the hospitals have their logbooks, and while, I mean, our staff are not medical officers, are not medical personnel, so they are not necessarily privy to someone's medical information.
Understood.
However, we can ask, through partnership with the hospital staff, just to verify some information that we think may not be totally accurate. So we are able to verify the information that the mother provides versus the information that the mother would have provided the hospital would have been captured in the logbook.
So what I'm hearing is there's this chain that is unbroken in the information and in setting the identity of this new person.
Absolutely. So it would increase the credibility of the information that we collect from the get-go.
Which is a big priority of the
Absolutely.
government.
Right. So, and so because of that, and the fact that over 98% of our births are institutional births, it immediately, really increased our coverage from less than 80% to upwards of 98%. In fact, when I read my annual report for last year, even in COVID, we were at 99%.
All right. So
and just to be very clear, because we work in statistics, just to be very clear, it is really 100% of bedsides, of hospital births that's being captured. The 1% really relates to those births that are not institutional births.
Understood. So what I've heard so far is this program has demonstrably increased the registrations of Jamaican citizens.
Absolutely.
By bringing it to the bedside and making the process, you didn't use the word, but I'm going to toss it in there, more efficient.
Absolutely. Right. So much so that it is now hailed as a regional best practice. And I can tell you that Grenada has started it, and I believe Barbados is looking into the process, if they have not already started.
I'm gonna come back to that. We're gonna go to our break right now for a few minutes. I'm gonna ask you to stay with us. We're getting the facts at the bedside registration program. Mr. McFarlane, the Chief Executive Officer of the RGD, is here with us. Don't go anywhere. Join us again on the other side of this break.
Concerned about uncollected garbage at home? Do you see garbage piling up on the streets? Then report it. Use the National Solid Waste Management Authority's mobile app to report instances of littering, illegal dumping, and uncollected garbage. From anywhere and at any time, be an environment warden by informing the authority of unsightly solid waste. You will be notified when your report has been received by the NSWMA, as well as when the matter is resolved. Download the app from the iOS or Android app stores by typing in NSWMA. Play your part, as Jamaica's beauty is everybody's duty.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We are continuing our conversation on the civil bedside registration with Chief Executive Officer of the RGD, Charlton McFarlane. Sir McFarlane, let's pick up right where we left off.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned the efficiency of this program. You mentioned how the registrations have gone from below 80 to above
98%.
Above, all right. You gave us specific figures. Now, I know the capturing of the father's information is very important. And I want you to tell us why this is so important and how this helps us.
Excellent. So, the fact of the matter is, while the law allows a registration to go ahead, legally so, without the father's information, at the RGD, we don't consider a registration to be, comprehensive.
All right.
If the father's information is not there. And there are, tangible and practical benefits of having the father's information on the birth certificate.
All right, the fathers are listening.
Because number one, there's no other document really that the government issues that specifically and categorically states who the father is.
All right.
And so the birth certificate is a document that allows the fathers to, in essence, pass on certain benefits to their child.
Right.
Case in point, the father is employed and the father wants to add his child to his insurance policy. You know, the moment that father goes to the insurance company, the first question they are going to ask is, where's the birth certificate? Because they want to see proof of the relationship.
The father, right?
If the father is overseas and he wants to file for his child, the embassies that they are dealing with, they will ask for the birth certificate, right? So it's very important to be able to prove that relationship. And even above that, there's value in having your identity affirmed. You know, as it is now, we have birth certificates where the mother's last name is Smith, the child's last name is Brown, but there's no father's name on the certificate. You know what I mean?
Confusion there.
It's a confusion. It's less than ideal, right? And so we believe at the RGD that it solidifies the identity of the child.
Right.
You know, when both the mother's name and the father's name is added on the birth certificate.
I'm gonna add another element to it as well, and you can tell me if I'm on the right track or not. You had mentioned the medical history earlier.
Yes.
And even if perhaps we know the reality in Jamaica, sometimes the father is not in the child's life, but having the father listed does do something for the medical history.
Absolutely, it does. And in fact, at the RGD, while not the focus of this discussion, no, but we have something called a genealogy research, and we actually have a genealogy research that focuses on cause of death within the family, right? So again, you can see that having the father's name gives insights into certain predisposed disease that one may be, you know, likely to have to deal with as they progress through life. So there's the benefits of having the father's name is phenomenal.
A larger picture to being Jamaican.
Absolutely.
So tell me about the measures that are being taken to improve the efficiency and, if necessary, expand this program. It started a certain way.
Yes.
And in our conversation before we started, you had mentioned that it was paper.
Yes.
That was registering at the bedside. Where is it going now?
Well, absolutely. But just before I get to that, you know, let me just tie up something. I mean, we're still at the back end of celebrating Father's Day.
Sure.
The bedside registration program actually increased significantly the percentage of fathers whose names would have been added to the certificate.
Right.
For simple reasons. And it's so amazing how, you know, significant policy decisions can have really, you know, intended benefits and even unintended benefits. Because guess what? The fact that the fathers now come to visit the mothers while they're in the hospitals, right? It means that most times when our registration officers go on the wards, they are not just interacting with the mothers.
Both of them
are there, right? And so because of that, it's almost like a one-stop shop. No, where both parents are there, and so the process is effected at that time. Right. And so that would have seen our numbers increase from, you know, again, about 60-something%, about 2/3
for the father,
for the fathers, no, to upwards of 75%.
Efficiency of capturing it in the moment.
In the moment, absolutely.
No, we don't have much time, so tell me a little bit about the efficiency of the program. How are we looking to improve that?
All right, so the bedside registration program is now 15 years old, started in 2007, and we are looking at how to improve it. And one of the things that we are looking to do is to move to electronic capturing of the data, right? Right now, we still rely largely on books. We would have piloted in Spanish Town Hospital and KPH to a lesser extent using tablets to capture the information.
Okay.
Now, what's the benefit of using tablets? Well, one, when the information is captured electronically, it hits our database immediately.
So there's no, I just want to interject here, there's no capture it here, then it has to be sent somewhere. You're capturing it to the database immediately.
Exactly.
All right.
Right? So that's one of the great efficiency gains that we are seeing in the pilot, and we know we will continue to see as the program rolls out nationally.
Less work for the officer as well.
Absolutely. You know, and so the ultimate aim of all of this is to move to the provision of digital birth certificates, wherein the vision and what I know the Prime Minister is keen on having is for mothers or parents, because fathers are coming forward as well.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, it's for parents to be able to leave, well, when they leave, when the mother is discharged from the hospital, from the maternity ward, they leave with the child's birth certificate.
And this is a digital birth certificate that is not in place of a physical copy that you need to get at another time.
No.
It is verified and can be used after this.
Absolutely. So that is the ultimate goal, right? And I must say, we are working with the National Identification Systems Project, and they, in an effort to further this digital capture or electronic capture of data at the bedside, they have donated to us or purchased for us 60 tablets, right, for our birthing institution. So once the application is completed and signed off, we will be rolling that out in the near future.
I think we have captured in a very comprehensive way the long-term vision of this program. We don't have much time left, Sir McFarlane, but we could not end this episode of Get the Facts without you speaking to the people, the fathers and the mothers who are watching. This is your moment. What would you have to say?
Excellent. So one of the things that we did to incentivize the whole bedside registration project was to offer a complimentary birth certificate. So every child that is born in an institution and fully registered is entitled to a free birth certificate. Now, believe it or not, what we have realized is that not all parents come to the RGD to collect their free birth certificates. So we actually have certificates in storage, and so I encourage our parents, I encourage our mothers and our fathers to visit the RGD, or if you can't visit, contact us online, contact us via email, contact us via our web chat, but inquire if your first free birth certificate is there and make the necessary arrangements to come and collect it. It's yours.
All right, thank you so much for that final word, Mr. McFarlane. For more information on the products and the services of the Registrar General's Department, you can visit their website, rgd.gov.jm. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest has been Chief Executive Officer of the Registrar General's Department, Charlton McFarlane. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here with us. And until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.